Bad idea. Hey, we're live, guys.
Woo-hoo.
That means we gotta play this music. Welcome to the Sysadmin Podcast, your source for IT news, commentary, and a healthy dose of paranoia. All right, welcome to episode 48 of the Sysadmin Podcast. Back to my redundant introductions here. I need to change that intro, I think. Anyway, joined by I'm joined tonight by Jason and Charles. Say hi, folks.
Hi, folks.
Hi.
Hey, cool. Dustin couldn't make it tonight. I guess he's busy dealing with baby since he was gone with us, well, two of us, all weekend. In fact, more than all weekend. Since what, Thursday? Yeah. So, we're on kind of a tight schedule tonight, so I guess we're going to hop right into the news. First of all, from Red Hat themselves, we've got an announcement that Red Hat Satellite 6.4 is releasing in October. They don't list a date. They just say October. So does that mean I can go get it now? I don't think so. At any rate, it's going to include better support. Sorry, what's that?
Later in October.
Later in October. Yeah, usually I get a nice email from them saying like, hey, here it is, go get it. We're still on 6.2 because 6.3 dropped during my rev hell, and I never got circled back to upgrade. So I guess we'll get to 6.4 instead of 6.3.
Yes, if you want to hear about Nate's rev hell, just go look for the episode titled "Don't Be Nate."
Don't be like Nate. So at any rate, it's going to include better support for Ansible, a redesigned user interface, which I really hope that means it's redesigned in a better way because the old one kind of sucked. There's a whole lot of clicking involved in that interface, and a lot of things could be smoother. That's all I'm saying. Red Hat, if you're listening.
I'm curious what they're going to do here because Satellite 6 was all Foreman and Catello.
Yep.
So it was very Puppet, and now they're going to add Ansible or replace Puppet with Ansible.
They're not replacing Puppet, from what I understand. I've talked to a number of sources at Red Hat, and they say that they have no intention of dropping Puppet anytime soon, or at all. Ansible is going to be added on. In fact, a lot of places use both, or use Ansible in concert with another config management application that does, because Puppet and Ansible do things in a much different way, and sometimes they're used for different tasks, right? So you could use Chef and Ansible, or Puppet and Ansible, or any of the other automation tools that were of the same ilk as Puppet, along with Ansible. So could be a long time before they drop the integrated support for Puppet that they have built into Satellite. I would hope anyway, because we have a lot of stuff in Puppet. So the way I understand it is that 6.4 is supposed to better incorporate things like Ansible Tower, which is kind of like a puppet master for Ansible. Though I don't know that for certain. That's what I was told by someone at Red Hat once before 6.3 even dropped. So
yeah, Ansible Tower is to Ansible what Foreman is to Puppet.
Right. So we will see. I'm looking forward to it. I've been waiting for better Ansible support for a while. Pretty much baked in Ansible support in Satellite is what's been sort of holding me back from deploying Ansible more broadly where I work, or where we work, Charles. So this could open some doors. Could be interesting.
Yeah, I started playing around with Ansible a little bit, and I think it could definitely simplify certain things and do some things for us that we just weren't able to do with Puppet. Because
yeah, there are certain
virtual host provisioning. Yeah, I can definitely see some utility in it.
Yeah, so that should be good. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Moving on, this next one isn't quite a news article, but I think it's relevant. It's a blog entry from Infosister, aka Amanda Berlin. At DerbyCon, She and a few other folks, mainly I think it was most of the hosts from BreakSec. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe so.
Ran a mental health and wellness village, I guess you'd call it. They call it a workshop, but in the article that she wrote, she defines it as a little more of a village. But basically, there's a lot of folks in IT in general, and it seems especially in Infosec, that suffer from things like anxiety and depression, a number of other things. And Amanda has been sort of taking an approach to sort of bring that out in the open so that people don't have to feel so bad about it and maybe get the help they need. Jason, I don't know if you read the blog or not. I just read through it last night and I decided to add it to the show notes. She basically goes over what the workshop was all about and gave some highlights as to what went on in there. I went to a couple talks that were held in there because they were either from people that I knew or people that sounded, like they had some insight on something. I know you were busy with speaker ops, so you didn't get into any of them, did you?
No, I didn't make it in there at all. Unfortunately, though, after checking this out and hearing all about it, I'm definitely going to make it in next year.
Yeah. It was a very comfortable space. It's the best way I can describe it. It was sort of a larger, maybe not even large. It was a wider sort of breakout room. On one side, they had like these inflatable couches, not quite couches, but if you look at the article, you can see a picture of it. But they have like these inflatable, they're like a U-shaped tube that inflates, and then you can lay on them. People love these things. They had a bunch of them around. They had a section on the one side with seats for speakers, so that a speaker could stand in front and give a talk. They had massage therapists there, and they had a number of other things that were meant to sort of help people relax and chill out. So it was pretty cool. I saw a talk from Jason Street, and it was not recorded, and I don't know how much detail he wants publicized about it, so I'll just say that it was very deep, and we learned a lot about his past and how trouble it is, and probably why he's so good at social engineering.
He recorded a talk a number of years ago. If I can find the link to it, I'll put it in the show notes. That was on a similar topic.
Yeah, none of the talks in this particular track, if you want to call it that, or in the village, were recorded for obvious reasons. They wanted people to feel safe and open, and I think they thought recording the talks would ruin that. But yeah, that was good. And Integral had a nice talk about Impostor Syndrome, which I sat in, and it was really, really good. So that was, both two things that I sat in on. I didn't attend much else in the Wellness Village, but it was pretty cool, and I think it's great work. I'm glad that she ran that, or that she decided to bring that up.
Yeah, I found the link. It was his keynote at SkyDogCon in 2015. So I'll put that in the show notes.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, next. There's some chat going on that I was trying to respond to, but guys, I'm sorry, I got to run a podcast. All right, moving along, we've got an article actually from a couple weeks ago, to the point where I thought we had already covered it, but looking back at show notes, thank you, Charles, for reminding me that I have show notes to look back at. For some reason, I brain farted on that. We didn't cover it.
Search.
Yeah, right. Weird. I documented something and then I forgot to look at it. That never happens. All right. So this is from nj.com. Oh, from a New Jersey news website, apparently. Okay, guess what, guys? Fortnite, a place where kids, and, to some extent Minecraft and other online games, kids like to hang out online. People who are trying to lure kids into not so great situations are hanging out in Fortnite and trying to convince children to do bad things. I can't say I didn't see this coming.
You're saying that a first-person shooter is a cesspool?
Yeah, right.
I'm shocked. Shocked, I say.
This article, if I remember correctly, it goes into like there's people posing as children to try to catch these guys hanging out on these various platforms. I read an article about this exact same thing, except replace Fortnite with online chat about 25 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. Wait.
So
hang on. I need to fix my previous statement. Are you telling me that the internet is a cesspool?
yes, the internet is a cesspool. It always has been, guys. This isn't really news. I guess it's worth reminding parents that there are bad people trying to prey on your children online, and you should know this.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there because this is actually... Okay, the subject is horrible.
Here it comes.
This picture is hysterical. So if you click on the top, that 37 in there means there's 37 photos.
Yeah.
And if you scroll down, they have this cool board that they put up that says parental warning. Parents should carefully monitor their children's activity on these popular social media apps and games.
Yeah.
The third item on this list is Grindr.
Grindr. Yeah, they've got...
item on this list is Tinder.
They've got Whisper, Grindr.
children's apps.
I saw the same thing. Tinder. I can't see some of these because the pictures...
Grindr,
I clicked on
Tinder,
it. What
chat
the hell
roulette.
is Wishbone?
I don't know.
Hot or Not?
Hot or Not. Yeah.
Tumblr, which is like
and
a
they
cesspool
have-
of pornography.
They have a special section for 3 games.
Yeah, games. Fortnite, Minecraft, and Discord, which is not a game.
Discord isn't a game. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, leave it to, I don't know. I don't know how technologically minded the folks at NJ.com are, but, I think it's worth just giving anyone a reminder that if you've got kids on the internet, watch what the hell they're doing.
Well, and it might not occur to somebody that, think, okay, well, I'll watch them on like Facebook or whatever, but games have chat.
Yeah.
Games have DM. It's another social platform. There are people there. You might not necessarily think about it that way.
Yeah,
No,
I
but
get that. I get that.
You should know what your children are doing on the internet. Period. Full stop. Whether that's in a game or a chat program or just browsing the web, you should know what your children are doing. That is not me advocating for parental control nonsense. I don't actually believe in that because I don't think it works. But you should know what your children are doing, not relying on technology to monitor your children for you.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, there are controls you can put in place that will help protect your children, but I don't trust any of them further than I can throw them. Of course, since they're software, I guess they're really hard to throw. I could put them on a USB disk and throw the disk.
Hey, back to reality.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just trying to figure out how to throw software, because I could throw that pretty far, I would think. So that's a bad statement.
Maybe.
I'm not exactly athletically inclined, but a USB key, I mean, that's easy to throw. Anyway, moving on. So it's finally happening. Engadget reports that Google Plus is finally being shut down. In fact, I think it's already shut down, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess it shut down today. Or no, it shut down 2 days ago. Even better, there was a massive data breach.
Yeah.
Reading through the article,
at Google
Why
Plus.
they shut it down.
reading through the article, I don't know how massive you can really call this. It's not like usernames and passwords were leaked. There was certain data about users,
Right.
that
It exposed
if you had
private
them
data.
marked as private,
Right.
you were able to get them via their API because there was a hole in the
Right.
API. Not
Yep,
great,
so
but
private data from hundreds of thousands of Google
Yeah.
Plus users. And of course, Google, being Google, didn't tell anyone.
oh yes, that is kind of a
Oh, and by the way, the vulnerability existed for 3 years.
The company discovered a bug in one of Google Plus's People APIs that allowed apps access to data from Google Plus profiles that weren't marked as public. It included static data fields such as name, email, occupation, gender, and age. So yeah, if you had those things marked as private and you expected that Google was protecting it, then
Right.
yeah, this affects you. But they also don't know, and there's another interesting piece here. Where is it?
They only keep the logs for 2 days, for
Yeah,
2
they-
weeks.
I was trying to find the explanation as to
Yeah.
why, but it's basically they're trying to value people's privacy, so they keep the logs of who accessed that API for only 2 weeks.
Yep.
So they don't actually have any good idea of how many people were affected. Maybe hardly anybody, maybe everybody. It's hard to know because it was a long-standing bug. They did fix it a while ago. I think did it say March?
They fixed it in March of 2018, but it's been there since 2015.
Yeah, so it's already fixed, but they decided we're going to shut this crap down anyway, except for enterprises, apparently. So if you have an enterprise G Suite, I suppose, you can turn this thing on for like an internal social networking thing, which doesn't sound like a terrible idea, but I didn't know anybody was using Google Plus like that.
Yeah, I guess Google Plus is a Yammer competitor.
Yeah. So anyway, there you have it. Google Plus is gone. Did anybody notice? I didn't notice.
I have.
So Jedi Day is saying that it's not shut down until 2019. Did I miss that?
I don't know. Before we recorded, I actively tried to go to Google Plus and I could not get there.
Plus.google.com.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this out now. Hey, tangent, folks.
Yeah, so it is up. Maybe it is 2019 that they're going down. All right, and Gadget, your article sucks.
Sorry, folks. Google Plus is not shut down yet. It will be shut down next year.
Wow, I've got like. Not only do I have content here, there are like people posting here. Like in the last
it's
week.
Weird, right?
Like Ken is posting stuff on Google Plus. What the hell, Ken?
Tell him to move on. Yeah, no, I tried to access it earlier today and it didn't work. So I assumed, yay, the the article is correct. Apparently it's not.
I keep saying I only have Twitter as a social media. I guess I have Google Plus as well. Oops. Not that I ever use it.
Well, you don't actually use it, so it doesn't count, right?
I don't know. Does that how that works?
Oh, look, my Google Plus is full of things from Ingress, which is apparently a thing I was still playing the last time I used Google Plus 3+ years ago. And announcements from Red Hat, which must be the only other thing I follow on Google Plus. Fun.
Apparently, I followed Bell's Brewery on Google Plus.
Well, that's worth it then. Okay, moving on to the meat of the news section. Anybody heard the Bloomberg article? Or read the Bloomberg article? And you know which one I'm talking about.
It's articles now.
Yeah, now there's two of them. So, I didn't read this in depth. All I have is the summary that you guys read to me while we were driving to DerbyCon last Thursday. That is you and Rich and Dustin, Jason.
Yep. So, basically, Bloomberg has uncovered, done research, whatever you want to call it,
something,
and is reporting that since 2015, a supply chain attack has been active that is modifying Supermicro boards and dropping rice-sized chips on the board that are being used to do something nefarious, whether that's exfiltrate data or modify things in flight or deliver a payload that'll then compromise the system later, whatever.
Right.
They're claiming that this has been an ongoing investigation for a number of years and that companies like Amazon, Apple, and the CIA and the DoD are affected.
I would say this is, you keep using the phrase, the size of a grain of rice. This thing is smaller than a grain of rice, if the pictures in this article are to be believed. They show a picture of it next to a penny, and it is minuscule next to a penny.
Yeah,
it's the size of a tip of a pencil.
Yeah, literally from the article, it says, nested on the server's motherboards, the testers found a tiny microchip not much bigger than a grain of rice.
Okay.
So, their words, not mine.
All right. So there's been a little bit, you could say, of disbelief. So
I would say a lot.
First of all, think of this. Just look at it. And when you guys read this to me while I was driving, and all I could do was think it over and not look at pictures or whatever, my brain first went to one place, and that was, how in the hell is this even possible? How can you put compute on a chip this tiny? Because that's essentially what they're saying. That this is more than
Sort of. So there have been a number of experts that have come out. As a matter of fact, the Risky Business podcast talked to somebody who knows a little bit about this stuff. And basically, you're not going to put a massive piece of software on a chip like that.
Right.
But there should be enough room in there to put in a compromise for, say, the BIOS or for the OS or something along those lines, so that it's a persistent attack against the system.
Okay.
So you can put a little something in there.
How could it interact with the installed operating system?
And depends on where you put it, but if it's on the lights out controller, you kind of have full access to a lot of stuff.
Right. So that's really the only place I could think of.
And also think of this. There is an entire embedded version of Linux inside of your CPU. I know CPUs are larger, but the actual embedded piece of that where it runs is this tiny little itsy bitsy area on the chip.
Right.
So it is entirely possible for this to exist.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess I've been watching Space Rogue go on about this on Twitter. Charles, you said you were following who? Tavis, right.
Ormonde, yeah. I think I've seen Kevin Beaumont talking about it too.
So this is, I mean, it feels like there's just a general amount of disbelief surrounding this, because the original article didn't really reference anything of substance. They just said, hey, there's this thing. We totally have proof, but we can't show you. Right? Did I get the the right gist there?
And all of their sources are unnamed, which was another
That's what I mean. There's no meat to this. They make this outlandish claim that this is happening, that it's already infiltrated so many places, like crazy stuff, like governments and Amazon and lots of other things. And they don't really back it up with anything, except some pictures, which could easily be faked.
Right. So there is a follow-up article that came out yesterday. And they have named in the show
notes, by the way, folks. Once we post them, you'll be able to see both.
Right. So they have named Yossi Applebaum, who is an former Israeli Army Intelligence Corps. I guess he's the co-chief CEO of or co-CEO of Sepio now, who provided a bunch of evidence and other stuff to Bloomberg. I don't know where, but I believe on one of the many podcasts that I listened to today, that whole thing was actually refuted by Yossi as well, where the documentation he provided was not proof of this. But take that with a grain of salt, because I don't have it in front of me.
So he himself is saying...
Yeah, so it was they sort of put the entire article on top of him and said, "Look, this guy totally said that this happened, and he has documents."
He's like, no.
and now I think he's stepped back from that. But Applebaum. So we're gonna do some live Googling now.
Yeah.
Yossi Applebaum disagrees with how Bloomberg is positioning his research against Supermicro. Surprise. So I guess he sort of stepped out and said, like, yeah, they've kind of gone a little further than what he's put out there. Says he found it in more than just Supermicro, not just in servers. He doesn't think Supermicro has anything to do with it. So I mean, there's a whole nother article in here. I'll add this one to the show notes too, because why not? But I haven't had a chance to read through this one.
Yeah. So at any rate, I don't want to sound like we are at all saying this is totally a thing or this is totally not a thing. I think what I'm trying to say is that this is a hell of a thing. And if it's true, it's really kind of scary. But there's a lot of respectable people thinking it's a bunch of BS. So I guess stay tuned. If once there's more evidence, I'm sure we'll follow up on this.
Right. I mean, that's the part that makes this really tough. There's nothing to. It's all reputational, right? There's really nothing to actually base an assessment on.
Right.
I believe this has severely hurt Supermicro. I think
yes.
The stat I saw was that their stock dropped 41% on the day that this was reported.
Yeah, that's in this second article. I just skimmed past that.
I imagine their stock has dropped again today and yesterday.
Right. So that's, I
A
mean,
lot of tech stocks dropped today, but
SMCI.
some people are speculating that this is like a diversion tactic. So, put on your conspiracy theory hat. But that's one thing I saw actually from Space Rogue, that this, if there is nothing to this, if it is in fact fake, it could be a great way to get all of the InfoSec industry to be looking at one thing when something else is happening. Again,
Oh yeah, this hurt them pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow. And then it rallied up a bit yesterday and then has dropped. I guess I'll bet that's when the article dropped, because it dropped another, I don't know, 10% or so. So they're where they were almost at $24 a share. They're now at $12 a share.
Ouch.
Yep. Ouch. So quick, buy Supermicro.
Yeah,
Wait,
right.
I'm not a finance guy. Don't listen to me.
Assuming that they recover, that could certainly be good. I bet it bounces back up if this is disproved, but if it is proved true, that's got to hurt them even more, right?
Well, only if they had something to do with it. I mean,
sure.
If it's not just, I mean, if Yossi is correct and it's a whole bunch of different vendors.
Yeah,
then,
if this is that certain vendors have been intercepted in shipping and these things have been inserted, and it's not like there's some bad dude hanging out in the Supermicro factory that nobody's noticed him, gluing chips onto onto motherboards before they go out the door.
Well, that's because all of these guys that infiltrate factories and do this sort of thing wear ninja outfits, and everybody knows that when you're in a ninja outfit, you're invisible.
No one can see you, right? You blend right in. All right, cool. So I think that's enough news for tonight.
But I hope that played on your end.
Did it not play for you?
I heard like a pitter patter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Folks, we call that technical difficulties.
No, I mean, if you can hear me, it played.
Okay. Charles, we're apparently insane.
You're both insane. Viewers, did you hear it? If you didn't, it should be on the recording. So anyway.
Yay. All right.
So announcements. First of all, and this is like really breaking stuff. So locally here, I think this was local. There was recently an event where I think a house was raided, and some ridiculous number of beagles were found living in the house along with people. Of course, they weren't just running the house. It wasn't just like a house full of dogs.
Yes, house full of dogs. It was like 30 plus, I think.
Yeah. And these dogs were in terrible shape. Obviously, I mean, 30 dogs in one house. You got to think that whoever owns it, unless there's like 20 people in the house too, the dogs aren't getting the care they need. So they found that there was a number of dogs that were sick, a number of dogs that were flat out like starving, dogs that needed medical care, and basically the Humane Society is asking for either donations or donations via the online dog food site or pet food site Chewy. Or there could eventually be a point where they're asking for people to adopt these dogs. But the reason we're talking about on the show is that the DEF CON 610 chapter that we're members of is running a charity event at Two Rivers Brewing. I don't have a time yet because Danny didn't tell us, but it's going to be on November 13th, which is a Wednesday, according to Danny. I didn't look it on the calendar. But basically, if you want to help out some dogs in need in the Lehigh Valley area, this could be a cool event. I don't know exactly what's planned yet, but that's all in its infancy. We're going to plan out something that involves DEF CON 610. Maybe there will be, technology-related classes or workshops or whatever, just to bring people in. And then I think people will be able to donate and whatnot. Oh,
yeah, it'll be 5 to 8 p.m.
Yeah. Someone just pasted it right. It just showed up like magic as I was talking about it in our show notes. That's pretty awesome.
As did the article for the original.
So did the article.
Humane Society Bigley thing.
So those will be included in the show notes if you want to see the backstory, and if there's an event published, we'll include that in the show notes if that's up there before for the end of the show when I publish these things. So yeah, if you like dogs and you're in the Lehigh Valley, this could be a cool thing. Looks like B-Sides is coming up, huh? Somebody added that to the show notes.
B-Sides. Yes. So B-Sides Delaware. Maybe there's some B-Sides people listening. So B-Sides Delaware will be November 9th and 10th at Delaware Technical Community College. So there's a link in the show notes. Tickets are on sale now, $5 a day. And that includes lunch. Lunch comes with that. So
yeah. If you want a t-shirt, it's another like $10 a person, it looked like.
Yep. So looks like it's shaping up to be a lot of fun. If you are on Twitter, as the different speakers come through, we've been tweeting them out so that people can vote on what they want to hear. Cool. And then it looks like, I haven't confirmed it yet, but it looks like we're going to have ham radio certifications again this year.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like this year my whole family is going to be there. I'm going to bring my wife and our younger daughter, as well as our older daughter. Me and our older daughter have been visiting every year, I think, since 2015. I think it was 2015 was the first year we went. But the whole family should be there this year, so we should be having some fun. So yeah, I don't know how much there will be to do for a 4-year-old, but we'll figure it out.
We have the spawn camp, which will be run by my son and a friend of ours. And we've already got a bunch of talks lined up for that. There'll be a destruction alley. So there'll be tons of hardware for kids to rip apart, tear apart, etc.
Yep.
Plus some smaller stuff to do. And there'll be talks for the adults, like, security stuff.
Right. This isn't just a kids thing. It's just that for me, it's a kids thing because I go to DerbyCon and my kids come to B-Sides Delaware.
Right. It includes we typically have free breakfast on site. It's usually bagels and like cream cheese and butter and stuff, coffee, etc.
Yeah, and last year the lunches were pretty good. The free or the lunch included with your ticket is pretty good.
And we're trying to make it was a new venue last year. So we worked out some of the kinks and it should be even better this year. Cool.
So do you guys have any classes on like Scratch for the kids?
Yes, I do believe they're doing, I think there's a Scratch class for the kids. I think there's a Python class for the kids.
Last year, Heave ran a Python for kids class, which was a little beyond my kid.
Right.
I was hoping for a Scratch class if there's one this year. If we can try to make that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
trying
look at the schedule. Is the schedule up yet? I don't know.
No, the schedule's not up yet because we don't have all the talks yet. We're still voting on them. But I believe, if I remember correctly, Bia is talking. She's doing a couple different classes. Let me look.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, big surprise. Let's see. She is teaching classes at B-Sides Spawn Camp, Scratch programming, Intro to Python, and Intro to Wireshark.
Wow. This is an 11-year-old, folks. An 11-year-old is talking about the intro to Wireshark. Wireshark. Packet captures from an 11-year-old, man. That's pretty cool. She's a bright girl.
When did I start screwing around with Wireshark? NetStumbler, I was fairly young when I started playing with that. Remember NetStumbler?
NetStumbler. Good stuff.
The first packet capture I can remember running was from a tool called Packet Boy, I think. And I was already in college. I don't think I had any packet captures before that. No, maybe I didn't. There could be one from high school, though I probably shouldn't talk about it.
Packet Boy is part of the NetBoy suite.
Yes. Is it still around? Wow, that's cool.
Web Boy, Ether Boy, Packet Boy, and Geo Boy.
Yep, that's the same 4 tools that came with NetBoy.
Did you pay the full $395 for that?
I was actually in college and it was part of a class.
Yeah, this page was last modified September of 2001.
Oh, then it's obviously still still current. Nothing's changed. That's all.
Oh man, NetStumbler's last stable release was in 2004.
Yeah, cool.
Sounds about right.
So it was 1999 when I used Packet Boy. So maybe the project died shortly after. That's awesome. Okay, so you guys got anything cool going on? I don't want to take up too much time because Jason has to go for a B-Sides Delaware planning call at like 8:30.
Yeah. I suck.
Yeah.
I'm hitting the road for High Ed Web next week. For the web developers in higher ed, that's the big conference of the year. Sacramento. That'd be cool. I've never been to Sacramento before.
Cool. Looks like I'm actually heading out to AWS reInvent this year.
Ooh.
So that should be interesting.
You're inventing. I'm reinventing.
Reinventing everything. It's AWS. You reinvent all the stuff and you make it better, right?
Oh.
Just by putting it in someone else's data center, right? Is that how this works?
Yeah.
Or maybe you have to reinvent all of your stuff in order to make it run properly on AWS, and that's why it's called that.
All about time sharing.
It's all about time sharing. I've heard timeshares are a waste of money.
I don't know. Is there free food at the talk?
So yeah, that's what I got coming up. Otherwise, I don't have much going on. I've been mulling over an idea, and maybe speaking live about it might be the wrong venue, but what the hell? So and we had a conversation sort of like this on the way to DerbyCon, Jason. I have been trying to find sort of a good reason to learn new things, but there's so many new things to learn and only so much time in a day that I'm having trouble picking a thing, right? So there's obviously things to learn for work and whatever, and that's separate from what I'm talking about. It's more or less like development beyond the things I do currently. So I'm mulling over the idea of putting it to either the Iron Sysadmin community or maybe just the Twitterverse at large. Give me a suggestion on something to learn, and I'm going to try to learn it within a certain time frame, like 2 weeks, a month, or whatever, and I'm going to write about it.
I mean, it's dangerous. You might suddenly get a new name of like Bodie McBoatface.
Bodie. Oh, right. No, this isn't a vote. This is suggestions. Give me suggestions. I'll pick something. Yeah. So there's not much of a rudder to this. It's more or less like I've got an interest in a number of topics. One of them being like Infosec, right? And it'd be cool to learn more about them. I think I'm going to start by finally picking up the book that Amanda Berlin had co-authored. What was it? Defensive Security, I think it's called.
Yep.
And finally just start reading the damn thing and maybe write about it a little bit. So that may be the first thing. After that, maybe it'll give me an idea what to do next. I don't know.
So reaching out to RenderMan to give you a suggestion is something that you might not do?
No, that'd be a bad idea.
You think?
Yeah.
What about Evil Moog?
I would probably ask him before RenderMan, because RenderMan may send me into territory which nobody wants to traverse, except maybe him.
Okay. Hey, there's opportunity there. I think he's making good money doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that it's cool work. Charles, do you have any idea what we're talking about?
Not in the slightest.
RenderMan runs a project called the Internet of Dongs.
Okay, this is actually starting to sound familiar.
Yes, in which he is testing the security of various intimate devices. Because no one's doing it, and someone should. Whether you agree with their use or not, right? If people are expecting privacy and they have an internet-connected sex toy, they should probably...
You don't want to get owned in that place.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, there's all kinds of badness that comes out of that, right? I mean, you can...
It's a whole new meaning to rough service.
So yeah, I'm not sure I want to get into that particular avenue, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a number of different security-minded books. If you're looking for something, though, maybe given your speed of reading, you should get your own book.
Yeah, right. They come in audiobooks because that works a lot better for me.
I don't know. I've tried technical audio.
Oh yeah, I think a technology audiobook would probably be a bad thing. Fall asleep driving to work. That wouldn't be. Nate's been in 3 accidents this month. I don't know what's going on.
But boy, his hacking skills have increased so much.
Right. So anyway, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I think I'm going to start with the book. Then I'll probably turn to either the podcast or maybe the Twitters and see if anybody has any suggestions. So yeah.
If you're interested in red teaming stuff or typical pen test stuff, Georgia Weidman's book is top notch. It is really good.
Yes, I believe did I start that book? I can't remember now. If I did, I should start over again because I can't remember. But no, Danny recommended what's his name? The guy who wrote the book about creating a lab.
Oh,
why am I blanking right now?
Oh yeah. Talk.
Apparently all of us are. DA 667. I forget
DA
his actual name.
Yep. I don't building virtual machine labs.
Yes.
Tony Robinson.
There you go. He recommended picking up that book and going through it. Now, I think I already have a pretty good idea how to build a lab, being that I do what I do, but maybe there's something in that book I'm not aware of.
Well, it is over 600 pages.
Yeah, that's because he has instructions for several different technologies.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's like VMware or Hyper-V and one other. Probably like VirtualBox or something.
Right.
No KVM. What the hell? I mean, come on.
It is free, though. Well, the electronic version is free. If you'd like to get it printed.
Oh, good. I wasn't aware of that. So I'll go grab the electronic version. That might be better.
Yeah. Amazon would be happy to print it for you for $35.
Yeah. Even that's not bad. Might be good to have that sort of thing in a physical form. I don't know.
Right.
All right. You guys got anything cool going on, or should we skip on into the main topic?
Started building another model railroad.
Cool.
If you're looking for something to learn how to do, that's a nice mixture of technology, hands-on stuff.
Yeah, and it relates to a hobby I had as a kid. So
I find it a good way to burn off a little bit of steam at the end of the day. Just go down, lay some more track. So I'm going to teach myself landscaping this time around.
That's cool. See, I've already got that sort of avenue with the Jeep stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe there could be days I'm tired of looking at both. Then I'll go build model railroads, or I don't know, ferment beer or something. That'd be a good hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I should get back to brewing. I haven't done a brew in a while.
You should. I haven't had a bottle of beer explode in my face in years.
I have no idea how. I just hang my head in shame.
All right. I think we're going to move on to the main topic because we only got 20 minutes left, guys. 15 minutes left, guys. Did you hear it that time?
Oh, well, I mean,
I heard it. Quietest outro ever.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Now I'm concerned at how it's being picked up on the recorder. God damn it, now I'm going to worry. So anyway, there was this conference this past weekend that 2 of the 3 of us went to. So Charles, I'm sorry, I don't know how much you'll have to contribute here, but you're welcome to stay. Feed in commentary. So this year, DerbyCon. I mean, we're back. I mean, I've had a full day to recover at this point, which is
I need another day.
At least what it takes. Man, I was beat yesterday.
Yeah.
Sometime. Like, I mean, we got in at like 11:30. I pretty much came in, put down my bags, went straight to bed.
Yep. I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work. So.
Oh yes, you did. I was still dead all day.
Yep. Then I got home late again last night, and well, not too late. I was able to actually get some decent sleep, so I'm sort of caught up, but not quite.
Okay. Well, yeah, yesterday was kind of rough, and I didn't even drink all that much this year, which is unusual for DerbyCon.
Can we get a fact check on this?
I mean, you could. Rich could probably tell you, but he's not here.
I wasn't with him all the time, but he was only really, really happy in one night. I think that was a Saturday night. Was that
Really
Saturday night or
happy.
Sunday night?
No, Sunday night is when we went out to eat.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, like, Nate was whipping drunk on Sunday night.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't even say that.
It was Sunday night, wasn't it? Yeah, because we went out to eat. Yeah, so we went out to eat and then came back, and then we hung out at the bar for a little while. He was inebriated, not quite as inebriated as the guy who can't remember talking to us.
Oh yes, that was interesting.
You know.
I told you I ran into him Monday morning, and he seemed to have no memory of the previous night. Right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That was interesting. So
Hey,
yeah, I guess we'll try to go in a more
security people drink
Indeed.
a lot.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We'll go in a more chronological order here. We've sort of skipped to the end of the weekend, which is kind of backwards. So Thursday morning, early for us. We hit the road in my wife's Nissan Pathfinder and drove all the way to Louisville from Pennsylvania, which was usually runs about a 12-hour trip when you consider stopping to eat and gas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we didn't stop for long though. We only made quick little pit stops.
Yep. Yeah, I was trying to get us there as quickly as possible this year because I'm tired of getting in so late that all the restaurants are closed. Because for whatever reason, Louisville seems to roll up their carpets at 9 p.m. on a weeknight.
Yeah, it is a little odd.
Yeah, so we got there like must have been like 8:30 because I think registration for the conference closed at 9, and Rich and I got in there just before they closed. And I think you guys missed it because you got in there just after it closed because you were at the other hotel. DerbyCon was held at the Marriott this year instead of the Hyatt, which is that's the biggest change to the conference this year as compared to the previous 7 years. And I don't know, Jason, what are your impressions of it being at the Marriott versus the Hyatt?
I'll be nice. It was different.
It was absolutely different.
I think the Marriott was a little full of itself and said, "Oh, the security conference with 3,000 people? That's easy. We host like the Kentucky Derby. Like this is a piece of cake."
Yeah, right. Right.
I think the Marriott at this point has realized the error of their ways, and hopefully it'll be better next year.
If anybody listening was at DerbyCon 1, which is in 2011, right? 2011, yeah, 2011. You might remember that the Hyatt had a similar problem, except they weren't full of themselves. It was more like nobody really knew what to expect, even Dave. And we basically drank Louisville dry. It's what's been described to us.
So yeah, let me explain briefly, so that we understand the fullness of what this means. The Hyatt literally had no alcohol left after the first night.
Right.
So the denizens of the hacking decided to go hit the town. 4th Street Live is right up the street, and as best I can tell, they basically drank all of the establishments there dry as well.
Right.
So when we say we drank the town dry, we were not kidding.
And this was before it was a challenge, right? So there was a point in DerbyCon history where it seemed to be a challenge to see if we could outdo ourselves from the previous year. And that, I feel like that was a negative turn for the conference. It was funny, to hear at the end, oh yeah, we drank this many barrels of beer or this many kegs of beer this year, and that's more than the previous year. At one point, Dave stopped making a big deal about that, and I think that was probably for the better. Right. I certainly felt less motivated to drink this year just for the sake of drinking, and I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people drink a lot while we're there, and it was fun trying to outdo ourselves. Yeah, and there's definitely still a small faction that is like kind of talking about how much we can drink when we get there. Yeah, and you still have people like the Hyatt tweets at us before conference starts and says, "Hey, we're totally stocked up. Yeah, we have like 50 kegs or whatever." But it's not as prevalent now. Right.
I think having that sort of a low-key thing that occurs at DerbyCon is a little better than the con seemed to. It almost felt like we were being it was being suggested that we try to top ourselves from the previous year, and that message has sort of changed, especially with like the ice challenges. That's evolved into something where even then you're not required. Like you were never really required, but it almost felt like you were. You know what I mean?
It
And
was definitely,
I like that.
yeah, it was definitely pushed real hard when
Yeah.
you got ice to partake.
Yeah.
And that has changed a bit too. So look, it's going to evolve and change, especially as culture evolves and changes.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing. That
Yeah,
said,
definitely a positive thing.
you know, we still drink a lot. And Marriott, if you're listening, when the Hyatt tells you that they've been stocking for 3 months and you're just starting, you're screwed. They're not lying.
Right. Right. So yeah, the Hyatt was still very welcoming to all of the DerbyCon participants, and that was cool because I think most of us hung out at the Hyatt anyway because it's pretty much just around the corner from the Marriott. Whether you were drinking heavily or not, but that's where you found all the cool conversations, you know, in the sort of lounge area in front of the Hyatt, like it's always been. That may change over the years. The Marriott does have a nice sort of lounge, or you know, in their entryway, but I just it didn't really get didn't really get the same vibe there as I always did at the Hyatt.
Yeah, the Hyatt is very open.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean is, you know, quite literally from the 17th floor, you can look down and see DerbyCon.
Yes.
And that
floor. There's 18th
that
floor.
was. Can you? Oh, I guess you can see from the 18th floor too. So it's just
only one
it's
above
very,
the 17th.
It's very open. I thought the 18th was the spire, but
No, the
you're
18th is the top floor of rooms.
Yep.
So anyone who's never been
it's very
inside,
open.
it's basically like this big open column where the whole center is just this like atrium almost. And from the very top floor, you can look all the way down to the bottom and you can see the people down in the lobby. It's a really cool design.
And before you ask, yes, quadcopters are discouraged.
Yes. Yes. However, Moog always gets permission to parachute a stuffed animal from the top.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Is pretty cool. It's like every little boy's dream. So at any rate, the conference ran from Friday to Sunday as it always does. The opening ceremony ended in, well, it had a talk from I apologize. This is going to sound horrible, but it had a French speaker who I could barely understand. He spoke quickly and I want to say quietly, but he didn't speak well into the mic, and I didn't get a single thing out of the keynote. Maybe it's just me. I have trouble understanding people's accents, and that's just a problem I have.
I have the book. So the first keynote was How to Influence Security Technology in Kiwi Underpants.
Yes,
Benjamin Delpy.
He was wearing his underwear.
So
that was kind of weird.
Yeah,
it was funny. Yep. You know, it wasn't like, my God, I can't look. It's basically like he's wearing hot pants. Is what it looked like.
Yep. And so the second keynote was a panel discussion with Ed Scutis, John Strand, Leslie Carhart, and it was moderated by Dave Kennedy.
And that was awesome. I don't know. You didn't stay for that, did you, Jason?
No, but I have access to the videos, so
you had speaker off to do. But it was cool. Leslie told a really cool story from her career in early parts of her career. There was also a lot of talk about basically the community and how was it Ed Scotus? I think it was Ed Scotus. Or no, it was John Strand put it. Wizards trying to impress wizards, right? So and the reason he put it that way is, think of pretty much any tech community and picture like the old graybeards, right? The people who know everything. And then you have like the new people at the bottom.
Hello, person on the video.
Everyone say hi to my brother-in-law who's trying to get the dog out of the room for us. Say thank you.
Thank you, brother-in-law.
So anyway, the point he was trying to make, so think of any tech community, at least up until now, and there's always like the folks who either know a lot or think they know a lot, And a lot of times they make it hard for the new folks to come in. They make it hard for the newbie to come in and ask questions. You know, oh, didn't you read the manual, or didn't you look at the comments, or didn't you try searching first, or whatever. And the general consensus of the folks on the panel, which, mind you, 2 of the 3 of them are SANS instructors. I don't think Leslie's a SANS instructor. Maybe she is. If she is, I'm sorry, Leslie. It's more about trying to be inclusive and teach people, right? And I don't know. I thought that was a great sentiment. I think there's too much negativity within these communities, and it's nice to hear people that are at the top, like John Strand and Ed Scotus and Leslie, talk about, you know, how that's a bad thing and how it shouldn't be welcome. So that was cool.
Yep. So and look, every community has its negative aspects. And like most big things, DerbyCon had its drama that we will not go into.
Right.
But you know, I think things were handled the right way overall across the entire con, both for each individual piece of drama that came up, and you know, we learn from that and we grow and change the following year.
Yep. And the talks were all pretty cool. I saw maybe only 4 or 5 talks, which is about average for me. I use DerbyCon as a great way to meet people and have conversations with folks I don't get to see often.
LobbyCon.
Yeah, essentially. This year I did a lot of hanging out in the speaker ops room with you and Dustin. And I got to meet a lot of the speakers before they went and did their talks, and had a lot of good conversations there. I had a nice chat with Paul Asadorian at the Security Weekly table, which was pretty cool. I saw a talk on, well, I don't want to go too deep into the talks. You can watch all of them. We're sort of short on time due to Jason's constraint here. Without Jason, we can't have this conversation because, unfortunately, Charles didn't make it.
I'll put a link in the show notes to where all the talks are.
Yeah, right. Iron Geek, as always, has processed and published these things. They're probably all up by now. I haven't looked, but
I believe he has completed all of the videos. Yes,
he churns these things out so quickly that it feels like he has them out before the talks are over.
Yeah, I think next year he's planning on having the talks up about a week before DerbyCon starts.
Yeah, that would be convenient because then I could just watch all the talks before we get there, and then I won't have to worry about going to any talks.
Yeah, you can just go talk to the speakers about what they were going to speak about. And,
yeah, right.
You've already have your questions all set up and everything.
Yeah. So that was good. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? As always, there's good food in Louisville.
Yeah. So Friday night, they had this really weird concert.
Oh, right.
What's this guy?
The shows were great.
Something to do like chocolate water or something.
Chocolate snowflake. Oh, that sounds terrible. Yeah. So we, as usual, there were 2 acts that came to DerbyCon and an opener for each. Excuse me. We had Vanilla Ice on Friday night, which I had no idea what to expect. And we got pretty much what you would expect from Vanilla Ice. I guess he does a couple different types of shows. One of them is like a 90s throwback show, and that's what he gave us. And it was pretty cool.
Anybody ask him about his movie?
His movie?
I may be unaware of a movie. He has a TV show that he plugged.
Well, no. Back in the early 90s. There's not a new movie.
Oh, no. I'm unaware of his movie.
Cool as Ice?
Maybe I've heard of this. This is ringing a bell now.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, Cool as Ice, 1991.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's about the right time frame. So, yeah.
Apparently he was in an Adam Sandler movie recently too.
Oh, okay.
Neat.
So it was a surprisingly good show, considering he was big in the, well, I guess early 80s, mid 90s, early 80s or late 80s to mid 90s. Yeah, man, I can remember playing his stuff on cassette tape.
What's a cassette tape?
Yeah, right. We may have viewers that don't know what a cassette tape is. I hope not. I hope I'm not that old. So at any rate, yeah, that was cool. And then on Saturday night, we had The Offspring. following the 90s theme. And that was a pretty good show too. Though I guess there were a couple incidents in the crowd. Like I read a woman tweeting about how she was like stalked and practically attacked by someone who was at the show.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I don't know the details though.
Neither do I, but
I think I was there when security responded, and by respond I mean there was a not insignificant number of red shirts who rushed into the area and so it was. Look, incidents happen when you have this many people. The security guys react very rapidly. And they take things extremely seriously.
That they do.
You have to tell them about it. But they will react extremely quickly and with force. So
this was
I mean,
at the Marriott?
Yep. No, this is DerbyCon security.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Right.
So you have to give them more than a couple of seconds to figure out exactly what's going on. Because there's always confusion, but they do respond. They figure out what's going on. They deal with it. So, kudos to the DerbyCon security team.
Yeah, right. So, I hated hearing about the story, but and I really feel for this woman because it sounds like she had a pretty bad time of it. She still remained pretty positive, which I'm happy for. Because she made it a point to say that she's not blaming the convention. She's not, because she said that they reacted pretty quickly. She was actually disappointed in the way the local Louisville police responded because they were involved at one point and they basically said like, "Hey dude, you should stop this," and left. Which seemed like a pretty low response for what she was describing. Luckily she wasn't physically hurt, but seems like she was pretty scared, and that's almost bad.
That's not cool at all.
Yeah. So, yeah. I've always felt very comfortable at DerbyCon. I'm not a big fan of crowds and big conventions. This is generally, if I've been to a place more than once, I feel better about it. And DerbyCon, since I've been there for 7 of the 8 conferences now, it almost feels like an extension of home. So I really hate to hear that sort of thing occurred there, or really I hate to hear any negative stories about when people are there, because it just feels so, I don't know, it feels a little closer, you know what I mean? So
no, DerbyCon is going home, so and I've been to every one of them. It was arguably my first security conference, and I will do everything I can to make sure I go every year.
Absolutely. And I hope that no one gets scared away from DerbyCon because of any of the drama that has surrounded it. Being on the inside, or not the inside, but being as familiar with the conference as I am, I feel like some of it gets blown out of proportion, but I also don't want to say that anybody's plight is invalid, because a
lot of it gets blown out of proportion, to be honest.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to offend anybody by saying like, "You're dumb, stop complaining," because it's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that from my perspective as a white dude going to a security conference, it's always been a welcoming place, and I like to think that it's the same for anybody there. However, I do know that sometimes there's a clash.
Right. I think the goal of everybody feels comfortable is guys like us just do by default.
Yeah. Look, right. And that, none of this is to say that that anybody who has had a problem is not for real and it's not true, etc. Yeah. The point is, there may be more details that are not released about what happens. And there are reasons for that information not to be released.
Which is why I'm being careful not to trample on that. I know that people have had problems, and I am in no way saying that they should be quiet and go home. If they had a problem and it's legitimate, that's legitimate. Anyway, I don't want to ramble too hard about the negative here, but I just wanted to, say that sort of stuff does happen, and it's a shame that it does.
Right.
So Offspring was cool. Sunday, as always.
Offspring got old.
Oh yeah, they have. They've definitely aged. They still rock though. I mean, they did a great job.
It was a decent show. I was there for a couple of the songs. I tend to, I know bands like that like to be very, very, very loud.
Yep.
I prefer hearing the music as opposed to hearing the crackling of the speakers as they're about to explode.
I feel like this happens at every DerbyCon show. The sound equipment there is designed for speech and not for loud music. Is what I think it comes down to.
Oh, I don't know about sound equipment, so.
And it's I think that it's tuned that way, right? And I don't know that anybody I could be completely wrong, but it seems like every show we go to at DerbyCon, it's always turned up just a little bit too loud to the outer limits of the speakers, and it always gets that crackly sound on the highs. Right, and that's unfortunate.
I assume DerbyCon contracts with an AV company to come in and do their stuff.
I would guess so. They seem to. It's not like Dave is out there setting up all the speakers.
And this is worth saying and worth pointing out. There was a bit of a complaint by some of the tracks that Offspring was playing too loud when they were tuning their instruments, and could they please be quiet because they're trying to do security talks.
Right.
Which I thought was hysterical. And
there were comments like, "Can you really tell Offspring to please turn it down?"
Yeah.
So that was
a thing that happened.
Out there. So anyway, as always, Sunday was a bit lower key than Friday and Saturday. Sunday always is, because everybody's tired from the goings on of Friday and Saturday. Everyone gets to a later start Sunday, but we did get to see a nice talk from Andrew Callett about shifting from cyber to psychological, I guess, defense, which was pretty cool. I'm sure it was recorded. I thought it was a pretty good talk. And he's a good, smart guy, and I like to support what he's doing. He's one of the hosts of Defensive Security, if anybody doesn't know. He's co-host, I suppose.
That would be Malicious Link's personal android.
Ah, yes, that's right. There were no your mom jokes in the talk.
Very disappointing. Andrew, are you listening? Very, very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, with how many of those there are on the show, you just would have expected it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. So, that was unfortunate, but But yeah, good evening. I got to, or good day Sunday. We didn't even touch on Hack Your Derby. There was this thing that two of the three of us here on the show helped run, which was the Hack Your Derby contest this year. We inherited this from Deviant. We talked about this already on the show, I think, before we went to DerbyCon. And it had a pretty good turnout, surprisingly. We had like 14 people register, but only like 10 of them actually showed up for judging. But it was a good time. We hit a couple of snags that we're going to try to fix for next year, mainly like in how we awarded prizes and how we did the scoring. The scoring worked fine, don't mind you, but entering the scores and doing the judging was a bit belabored, and it didn't need to be. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun to run that. Definitely looking forward to do it again next year and improving a couple things.
Yeah, one of our winners, I believe, is actually listening to us right now.
Yeah, right.
Hi, winner.
Yes. Jedi was fortunate enough to, even though he came in, he didn't actually get the grand prize. The person who did get the grand prize, which was Integral, already has a black badge, and the grand prize was a ticket for DerbyCon. So Integral and Jedi exchanged prizes. So Jedi ended up with a ticket for DerbyCon next year. So hint, folks, a black badge gets you in the conference forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, hint, folks. If you want to win a ticket for future DerbyCons, you should come to DerbyCon if you can get in for the first time, and you should participate in various contests, because a lot of them, maybe even all of them, at least have one badge to give away. One, not black badge, but one conference badge for 1 year. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Agreed.
As usual, we met up with some good friends, had some good conversations, some good meals. Good stuff.
Just the people that weren't there.
Yes, absolutely. A few people didn't make it this year that we wished would have, but we get it. Tickets are hard to come by sometimes. Obviously, all you have to do is get a talk accepted or run an event, though. So, get on that.
Yeah. I mean, they only about 25% success rate on talks this year.
Oh yeah, they had 400 something people, 500 submit.
Yep, and it was like 127 talks accepted, I believe.
Yeah. So I am thinking about trying to work up talks for conferences in the future. I don't know what to talk about though. Maybe that'll be part of what I'm learning, right?
It could be. You can do so. I mean, it's a security conference, but security is sort of everywhere. So
yeah. Yeah, well, I've tried submitting more operation-focused talks to DerbyCon with a security bent, and they've never been accepted. It could just be that I'm not very good at writing up CFPs. I don't know.
Ditto.
It could also be that they have no idea who this Gan Group guy is, and maybe that's changed since this podcast and the Hack Your Derby stuff and whatever. I don't know. Maybe not. At any rate, I think that about sums up DerbyCon in the amount of time that we have available. We could probably go on for hours about how much fun the conference generally is and how everybody should try to get there. But, yeah, that might get boring.
I had a good experience the one time I went.
Yeah, right. So it's even good for web developers. Would you go to like one talk and then you spent the rest of the conference trying to utilize the thing you learned in that talk?
No,
That's the way I remember it.
I went to at least 3 or 4 talks.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I went to that energy grid talk and for a couple others. But yeah.
Right.
But no, the TLS fingerprinting, which I still want to find a use for someday.
Yeah.
That Lee Brotherston's working on.
Yeah, so pretty cool. I think that's about it for tonight, folks. I know, Jason, you have to run for your call. You've probably already called into it at this point.
No. If they're listening, hi, I'll be there in a minute. If they're not listening, they're in the talk. Or they're in the
totally have more important things to do right now than help plan a freaking security conference, right?
Yeah. Security conference.
Maybe that's where I'll try to submit a talk. Not this year anymore, I assume. Call for Papers is probably closed. It's way too close to the talk for B-Sides Delaware now, right?
No, you can submit a talk now.
Really?
Oh yeah. CFP's still open.
I don't know what I would talk about. I'll have to think about that.
Submit one.
All right, I'm going to type it right now. I'm going to talk about running a podcast.
Yeah. Just that's actually not a bad talk.
Really?
So yeah, why not?
But this is nothing. Come on. This is just like some hobby of ours, right? We got like what? One listener? There's only one viewer on the stream right now. No one else listens, right?
Yeah. Some people want to talk about, some people want to learn that sort of stuff. All you need to do today is come up with an idea and send in a CFP that says, I have this totally awesome idea for a talk. And this is what it is.
Great idea on how to talk about nothing.
Right. Then
how to talk about talking.
Right. So then the second thing that you have to do is actually go and like write the talk.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
So
writing a talk.
But it's okay because as I learned from the as I learned from the speaker ops room, nobody writes their slides until 5 minutes before they go on stage.
There was a guy, he was in the Impostor Syndrome talk in the Wellness Village. And he said that one of the things that he does is when he's writing a talk, he doesn't write the slides until like 48 hours before the talk, because he feels like if he writes them too early, I think it was that he would be too tempted to change them frequently. Was that how he put it? And
that makes sense.
And he had submitted a talk somewhere that they had like a review board and they wanted your slides 2 months before the actual conference so that they could review them and make sure that they were formatted okay and they didn't have any copyright problems and all that stuff. And he said it was like agony for him because he had to have the slides ready so early, and then he submitted them, and then he couldn't touch them, right, for 60 days going up to the conference. He said it was like torture.
That actually does sound kind of like torture.
Doesn't it, though?
Yeah.
Like, I can understand the reasoning behind it, but yeah, it was like, yeah.
So, yes, DerbyCon. It was a thing. It was awesome. It was fun. Go next year. B-Sides is in like a month. Go there too.
Yeah, I'll be there. In fact, I think all of us, well, minus Charles. I don't think Charles is planning on going to B-Sides. You should go to B-Sides, Charles, and then all of us will be there. You're muted, Charles.
When is it?
Middle of November, right? November, what, 9th, 10th?
Yep.
So, yeah. Those dates are sticking out of my head for a reason I can't remember, but...
It's because you were going to go to B-Sides Delaware, duh.
Oh, of course. Good.
Simple.
We've only been talking about it for weeks now. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you guys start talking about B-Sides Delaware, I mean, I kind of tune it out sometimes, if I'm honest, but...
Well, thanks a lot.
Well, that's better than what he used to do, is when I started talking, he would just tune out.
Yeah, now it's only when you talk about certain topics. So, yeah, B-Sides Delaware is a... B-Sides Delaware is a great sort of low-key security conference. If you want to see... So not just for you, Charles, because you've been to other security conferences, lots of other conferences. But if anybody out there listening wants to get to a security conference where there's, I don't know how to put it. It's just a smaller, less stressful conference. It's a lot more laid back. It's generally smaller, lower in attendance, so there's not like a huge swath of people you have to deal with. It really is great, especially if you want to try to introduce your kids to this. I mean, Jason, that's how you got your younger son involved in this industry, right? Yep. Which is pretty cool.
So it's also like relatively inexpensive. So tickets for 2 days is a whopping $10 plus Eventbrite's stupid tax.
Yeah.
And then we have hotel blocks, and I think the hotel, the cheaper hotel is like $60 a night, which is, when it comes to hotels, that's actually like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm going to be there probably just for Saturday, and I'm just going to drive down early Saturday morning, spend the day there, and then drive home. It's like a 2-hour drive or so for me.
Yeah, so I mean, I go from Thursday till Sunday because
you're part of the conference.
Set up, shut down, kind of relax Saturday night type thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess if I ever got more involved in it, or if I really wanted to get the full effect of the whole conference, I'll probably do a stay over sort of thing. But yeah, it works currently for scheduling and for family to come down for just the one day. So that's what I do. All right, so I think we've rambled enough, and we're already past the time limit we were trying to set for ourselves. Surprise.
That's pretty normal.
So I think we're going to play the intro or the outro. Yeah, thank you both for joining. Thank you, the few folks who were chatting with us on YouTube and watching live, and thank you to anybody else who's listening after the fact. Listeners are awesome. Yeah. Good night, everyone.
You got to tell them where to find us and how to give us money.
What did? There was a gap there.
I'm on Twitter.
I was trying to gloss over it by just going, "Oh, I forgot. Whatever. I just won't deal with it." And then you had to bring it up.
Yeah. So you can find me on Twitter. I am at Xenopage.
I'm at Gangriff.
I'm at MACKNSEN.
Mackinson or Mackinson? I never really knew how to pronounce that.
We are ironsysadmin.com, and we have a Patreon and all that good stuff that you can give us money.
Yep. If you'd like to help support the show, I'll say that our S3 usage as we get more listeners just goes up because of transfer rates. We're up to like $30 a month now at this point.
and poor Charles seriously needs a microphone.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, I've been asking for weeks for a recommendation, like not like vague nouns, but like a link to a thing I can buy.
You need a microphone. You need like one of these. things that you talk into.
Yeah. So
After the show
let's see.
tonight, Charles, I will figure out what microphone I'm talking into at the moment and give you the model number. How's that sound?
That sounds peachy.
All right. So yes, as Jason mentioned, we have Patreon. We are ironsysadmin.com. You can find links there for our YouTube channel, so you can watch us live, and all of the other things like our Slack channel and the Patreon, and I think even our subreddit is also linked there. We have a subreddit now as of about a month ago. Thank you to Dustin. With that, Jason, did I miss anything else?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't think so.
You don't know.
We say all the things. You got to play the music that nobody's going to hear. I mean,
we said all the things.
So that worked.
Yeah, that's because I turned the volume knob up just a little bit because someone was in the chat saying that the volume on the audio was low, but the speech was high. So I think.
Oh, so you didn't believe us?
Well, no. I did believe you, but when they articulated it that way, not just. Never mind, folks. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching.